First of all, I want to thank a lot for Neise, Marco, for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. I know that we are pretty late on the time, so without further delay, I will share two cases with you. I try to run. So these are my attention conflicts. And the first case that I want to share with you, it's post-cabbage RCA CTO case. So it's a 58-year-old male. So this is the left shot. We can see the left main, a lot of disease, circumflex, a patent SVG2OM graft. And we can appreciate here some collaterals to the right coronary artery. This turtle's AV groove complex channel. This is another view from the left coronary. Also, we can see the filling of the RCA, mainly from this epicardial channels. And this is a shot from the SVG graft to the OM. We can also appreciate an occluded ramus that is filling retrogradely from the SVG. And the Lima LAD was patent. So this patient was scheduled to a RCA CTO. He had quite ischemia on the inferior wall and was quite symptomatic also. And this is the RCA CTO that we are about to tackle. A complex CTO, a lot of proximal disease, some calcification, and we can see some fainting feeling on the distal RCA. So our approach was basically antegrade first approach. So we start the case with a microcatheter, a Mamba, and we tried with a soft polymer jacket, Boston Fighter, and then we decided to escalate to a Judo 6. But unfortunately, we could not reach the distal true lumen. You can see the Judo 6 is just extra plaque. We explore all the channels. We also decide to recanalize this ramus to see if it feels the distal RCA, but unfortunately it didn't. And then we decided to try this AV groove complex channels. So this is the crossing attempt. So we, unfortunately, I was proctoring this case, and we didn't have flimsy micros like fine cross or caravel, which in my opinion is the adequate microcatheters for this type of channels. And we kept with the Mamba Flex 150 and Scion Black, and this is the crossing attempt, some wire movements, and eventually the Scion Black reached the distal RCA. This is the moment. We checked the distal wire position. We were pretty assured that the wire were in the correct position. We proceed with the microcatheter advancement, and we proceed with the guide extension assisted reverse cart. Here is the retrograde gladius mongo going inside the antegrade guide extension. This is the moment of the connection. And this is the final result after a couple of stents. Still, there were a PDA here that was still occluded, but we decided to check, to remove the gear and to check the AV groove. And as you can see here, you can see a pretty nice extravasation of contrast, and it's retained on the AV groove. This type of perforation is we have to be very careful about it because at this moment the patient was quite stable, no complaints. But if you leave this type of perf, it's just a matter of time to have cardiovascular collapse. So we decide to act pretty to take active measures, and coiling is probably the best option for this. This is another view we can see here, the dye stabilization. And as I mentioned, when we have some kind of perf in epicardial channels, we have in most of the cases to coil both sides, and mainly when the CTO is open, because now you have flow from both sides, from the antegrade side and the retrograde side. And my first my microcatheter of choice for coiling is we can coil with any workhorse microcatheter that we use in CTO sense. We get neurocoils, as Lorenzo mentioned in his talk. The detachable coils are the best options for this type of situation, and we use the microcatheter from the retrograde side and also the microcatheter from the antegrade side, and we place 4 neurocoils, 2 in each side. It was a target nano neurocoils, 26, 26, 258, 308, and we could achieve a nice hemostasis, and the patient remained stable without major compromise. This is the final result, and after coiling, we tackled the PDA, was suboccluded. We could easily cross with a cyan black, and we did some POBA here. As a take-home message for this case, I want to mention that in high risk cardiac collateral that used for retrograde approach, you should always check before you pull out the gear. We know that pre-cabbage may prevent from a classic tamponade, but we know that the patient can have some kind of localized hematoma and evolve with atrial compression and hemodynamic collapse. The definite treatment requires a complete exclusion of the perforation and the leak, and often this is achieved with bilateral coiling. The second case that I want to share with you quickly is a 61 female, also RCA CTO. The proximal cap we viewed as quite of ambiguous. There were side branches here. We're not sure where to puncture. And the patient had a very good retrograde feeling from collaterals and a lot of septals. So we decided to tackle this case with a retrograde approach up front. So we choose a fine cross and any rich 0.3 gram wire for septal surfing. And after main attempts, main septals, you can see there's some injured septals here. It was from the previous attempt. And finally, on the S3 septal, we could cross with the wire. As you can see here, this is a check. The distal wire position was okay, but the fine cross could not follow the wire. Then we decided to delay it with 1-0 balloon, and you can see the 1-0 heel rate dilating the septal. And we exchange the microcatheter, the fine cross, from a Corsair Pro. And this was the problem. During the advancement of the Corsair Pro, suddenly the microcatheter prolapsed, probably to the RV cavity. And after that, we could pull back a little bit and keeping rotating the micro, and with a lot of friction, the microcatheter finally progressed and reached the distal RCA position. The patient was stable at this moment, and we decided to proceed with the RCA CTO recanalization with conventional reverse card. Was the moment of the connection. We felt a lot of difficulties, but after the reverse card, we we had to pull back this Corsair Pro. And this ABU guide was coming from the right radial and was a female patient and a little very thin and delicate patient. So when we pull back the Corsair, maybe there were a lot of storage energy, and all of a sudden the microcatheter came all the way out, and we lost the left guide catheter position, and the microcatheter was here relying on the aorta, and we had the wire across. It's a externalized wire across. And that was the point that the case starting to went south. The patient started to complain some chest pain, and she started developing hypotension. And at this moment, we know that probably we had some injury on the septal during the microcatheter advancement and microcatheter prolapse. Maybe a septal rupture was the initial suspected problem. I decided to quickly finish the RCA PCI as soon as possible. I just picked a long stent, long DS, and deployed just to guarantee that I was covering the whole CTO and jump to the left coronary problem. And I could not advance a guide catheter anymore because of this radial spasm. So I got a JR 3.5 5 French diagnostic catheter. It was the only catheter that could go up in the radial. And this was the injection. You can see at the point of the microcatheter prolapse, we had some huge septal laceration. This was the bedside echo that we performed at the moment of the case. We can clearly see some discontinuity on the septal interventricular muscle. And this was probably the point of the laceration of the interventricular septum. And also in this case, this is not a benign complication. So the message here is also you have to be active and control this bleeding. We decided to coil also from both sides as we achieved the RCA CTO recanalization. And a good tip here is that you can fit a fine cross in a diagnostic JR catheter. So we easily put the fine cross, we wire the septal, and we decide to deploy coils from the retrograde side, two coils. We picked the Axiom Prime coils, which are detachable ones and very good and safe ones. And from the antegrade side, from the Corsair, we use also three coils here, and we pack it inside the laceration, going back on the PL branch. So this was the setup at the moment of this coil embolization from both sides. You can see the Corsair, you can see the fine cross here. And it's also good to remember that this type of coils fits nicely in every microcatheter that we use in coronary. This is the final result of coiling both sides. No more strophisation, and now patient was under pressures but low dose. And this is the final result from the RCA. The patient came back to the hospital with a typical chest pain after 2 years, and she underwent a new angiogram. This is the angiogram. The RCA was patent with T3 flow. We did also echo just to see how the laceration healed. You can see here the echo was normal EF, and no more abnormal, no more bad findings in the echo. And as a take-home message, severe septal collateral injuries, which is very rare, like this one that was induced by a microcatheter, may cause severe hemodynamic collapse, even without pericardial effusion. It's important to recognize it fast and act quickly, sealing both sides with glue, coils. Maybe glue is not good for this type of case because it's a big laceration. You can have some extravasation of glue to the cavity and make things worse. But maybe coil is the best and suitable for this type of perforation. And you have to fix both sides because now you have flow from the CTO side, from RCA side. If you just coil the retrograde side, probably you're still leaking from the antegrade side. So these are the cases that I want to share with you. I want to thank you again and for the invitation. And maybe if you have some questions, I can answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evandro. Amazing cases. Any comment? Nathan?
All right, thanks, Evandro. It's great cases. Of course, I know that when you have a septal preparation, don't all the time you need to treat this septal preparation. How you consider in this particular case is that you see the echo don't show a very big hematoma in the septal. In the majority of cases, this is maybe don't progress to the compression of the outflow of the left ventricular. So why do you decide to, or which recommendation you have to decide to treat or coil these septal perforations?
Well, nice, a good question. This is still a no question because we don't have a lot of data about this, but my impression is that if you have clinical signs of instability, if the patient complains symptoms, if you have some arrhythmia, AV blocks, if the septum if you see on echo big hematoma and laceration, it is probably because it's a big injury. So my message is maybe if the patient had developed symptoms and you see on echo, maybe you have to act and do something. We still don't know. Probably most of the injuries in the septals are benign, but I still had some cases like this one that I have to seal the leakage and stay calm and go to home in peace, because otherwise you can still have problem if you leave things like this.